Hi everyone, it's Viktor speaking, and I'm here with Tsveti today with another video, and we're going to be talking about fake trines and fake squares or fake oppositions. Now, it might sound a little bit strange, but not every single square is actually a square, and not every single trine is actually a trine. So today we're going to walk you through a little bit how to interpret the essential dignity table, because that is something which the ancient astrologers used a lot. And then after, we're just going to show you a couple of examples how to determine which is the most important aspect you're going to have to work on. So hi, Tsveti, how are you?
Hi, Victor. I'm great. Thank you. Thank you so much for this video. It is very interesting again, and I'm very excited about it. I hope that others will be able to learn a bit more about themselves when listening to it. And we're, welcoming any questions in the comments below. And I really make the effort to reply to every comment. So if anybody has questions, I will be really happy to answer.
Good. And by the way, if you would like a reading with us, then the link is going to be below. And by the way, I'm going to be holding a webinar on planets in detriment and fall. So if you want to learn about this a little bit more, then I'm also going to put the link below where to sign up for that free 4-hour webinar. So let's get started. Basically, what we need to understand pretty much is the planetary conditions. And the planetary condition is going to be defined by the essential dignities. We've got two types of planetary qualifiers. One of them is the essential dignity, the other one is the accidental dignity. Today, we're not going to be talking about accidental dignity because that's quite a big topic to cover. But the essential dignity table is something which is extremely important to be used. So how it works is that we've got 5 dignities of the planet, which is rulership, exaltation, triplicity, term, and phase. And each of them are going to be weighed a little bit in a different way. So the rulership is going to be the most important one, and that's 100% strength of the planet. Exaltation is an 80%, triplicity 50, term is a 30%, and last but not least, the phase, which is 20. Now we've got debilitations going on as well when the planet is in detriment or fall. However, not all of them are going to be very harmful, and not every single aspect is going to be as important as it looks like. So that's what we want to cover today for you, because I see that we are so afraid of, let's say, a Saturn and the Mercury square all the time, but it is not always affecting you that much. So, Tsveti, what do you think about rulership? So what shall we know about rulership?
Well, the rulership is actually the planet. This will be in the sign which is ruled by it. So it gives the greatest essential dignity for the planet. It will be showing that the person is able to actually perform and manifest this planet in its greatest potential, because it will be like being at home. You can do at home whatever you want to do. It's your home, so you're doing whatever you want to do. And it's that's why it gives this 100% dignity to the planet, because it's like being at home and having your will to do whatever you want with regards to the manifestation of this planet's qualities. So
Exactly. So it's very important to understand that um, that the planet, the essential dignity table, is going to be showing us the strength of the planet. The more strength the planet has, the more reliable they become. But it's not just about reliability, but somehow that planet, if it's in rulership, it becomes like a guiding type of planet. So that planet is ultimately responsible for taking the responsibility of the house and sign what it is. And it is trying to bring the best out of it as much as possible. So the more dignity the planet has, the stronger the planet becomes, and it it's not necessarily that harmful anymore, even if we talk about Saturn or Mars. Because think about it this way. I've got a planet, a Saturn, which is exalted in the sign of Libra, which you can see here. If you go on the Libra line, then you can see Saturn there being exalted. So Saturn is not going to be that harmful anymore. Yes, Saturn at the end of the day is Saturn, as I usually say. So it might bring some type of challenges, but it is going to be showing the nicer side to it. Of course, if you are very reluctant to achieve what Saturn wants you to achieve, then after a while it's going to turn around and it's going to start kicking your butts. So we somehow need to hear what the planets are telling you.
Yeah, and I also wanted to say that when a planet is in rulership, it's of course like the planet being at home, but it's always important to look at the whole chart, because if we only have one planet which is in rulership in the whole chart, it can also show a bit negativity by overwhelming the whole chart, by taking over the whole chart and not allowing the other planets to manifest, because they will be weaker, and then the person will become the manifestation of this planet only, or they will be like trying to manifest this planet only, and this can be a bit tricky with the rulership.
That's right. Okay, let's see what exaltation is all about.
So the exaltation, this is a position where if we take this association with the home, it's like being the guest of honor at someone's home, but not at your own place. You are a guest, and you are, in your best energy. And yeah, so exaltation, it gives 80% dignity of the planet, and this is again a very positive manifestation for the planet. So even if it's Saturn, as you said, if we take its exaltation position, it's no longer that malefic, so to say. And the aspects that this Saturn will be making to other personal planets as well, if we look at the dignity, then we can see if it is really so negatively affecting them or not. Because we talk about Saturn as being a malefic, but it is not always the case. I can see you're putting my chart, and we will take a look at it. And I have an opposition between Mercury and Saturn. And we can see that actually Saturn is not hurting that Mercury so much, because yeah, now that when you display the essential dignities table, you will see that I actually have Saturn in Virgo. And if you look on the Saturn line, then yeah, you will see that Saturn holds Mercury in rulership and exaltation, and yeah, this is quite a good dignity regarding Mercury. So in this opposition, Saturn is actually helping Mercury to manifest, not so much harming them. Because Mercury in Pisces, like in my chart, it's a very weak Mercury. Yeah, it's in fall position practically. But this Saturn holding Mercury in rulership and exaltation actually adds up to the dignity of my Mercury. So my Mercury becomes better because it gives structure to this Pisces energy. So yeah, it's a fake opposition, so to say, in my case.
So basically, we've got a Saturn on 24 degree and we've got a Mercury on 21 degree. So firstly, you're going to have to check whether who is approaching this opposition. And Mercury is approaching Saturn because Mercury is the faster moving planet, and that's on a lower degree. That's what we call as applying aspect. So Mercury is approaching Saturn with an opposition. So firstly, we need to see if Mercury is interested in Saturn at all, in any ways. And Saturn, Mercury is a neutral towards Mercury, meaning that Mercury doesn't really care. Mercury is not that obsessed of helping Saturn, but it doesn't want to harm Saturn either. And when we go on the Saturnian line, that's the next participant of this opposition, actually Saturn adores Mercury. You can see that Saturn keeps Mercury in rulership, exaltation, and even in phase. So Saturn, therefore, if I adore someone, I'm not going to hurt that person, right? Because I want the person to be benefiting. So Saturn is actually something I would call as helpful towards Mercury. Whether Mercury is taking the opportunity to honor Saturn's help, that's a different question here, because Mercury at the moment doesn't really care. So this is something I name a fake opposition, because it's not the most hurtful one. It would be the most hurtful if Mercury completely pushed away Saturn. So let's say Mercury, on the Mercury line, there would be a Saturn either in detriment or fall. Then it would mean that Saturn is trying to come and help, and Mercury pushing Saturn away. Thank you, I don't need your help. And exactly the same if Saturn was putting Mercury down by detriment or fall, then it would indicate that Saturn actually hates Mercury, so it doesn't offer a helping hand. I hope that makes sense. We're going to look at a couple of other examples shortly. So Tsveti mentioned exaltation, which is an 80% of strength for the planet. Now, let me just mention that exaltation is good and the planet is reliable. But usually exaltation means that the planet is overly excited. It could indicate something where when you are overly excited, you are not going to be paying attention to the details, so it's easier to fall off the cliff. So with exalted planets, I usually say it doesn't last forever. We do need to be a little bit careful with them and not getting overly excited in that area of life where the planet is or what it rules. Great. So what about triplicity?
Well, triplicity is this in-between dignity, because traditional astrologers usually look at, rulership, exaltation, detriment, and fall all in all, and they forget about triplicity, terms, and phase. So triplicity is this in-between dignity, which is actually, this is a division of the 12 signs in a specific group of 3. And these are by element. So we have fire triplicity, water triplicity, earth triplicity, and air triplicity. And depending on whether it's a day chart or a night chart, a certain planet will be ruling and will add dignity by triplicity.
Exactly. So if we look at Aries, for instance, we can see on a day chart, Sun rules, and on a night chart is Jupiter. If we look at Leo, Sun, Jupiter. If we look at Sagittarius, Sun, Jupiter. So each of the elements are ruled by a planet, depending on whether it's a day chart or a night chart. So if you are unsure how to determine day chart or night chart, basically you just get the horizon, the sunrise and the sunset. The sunrise is going to be the rising sign, and the sunset is going to be the descendant. Imagine there is a line there, and if the sun is above the horizon, then it's a day chart, and if it's under the horizon, then it's a night chart. So Tsveti, for instance, has got a night chart. So meaning that, for instance, her sun is in Pisces, and Pisces doesn't matter day or night, both are ruled by Mars. Mars when it comes to it, so that's a Mars. But if I look at a different planet, let's say I'm going to be looking at Venus. Venus is in an Aries, but we're talking about again a night chart. So Aries is ruled by Jupiter in triplicity. Now, triplicity is something which talks about consistency, and actually that's one of the best. A little bit better than exaltation, even though exaltation is stronger, but triplicity gives you consistency in that type of area. So that is considered a good dignity, and we give a 50% strength to it. Good. So let's have a look at terms. So if you want to be putting the terms onto your astro.com, because I know not everyone is having a professional program, basically you can just click on Egyptian terms in the display and calculation points, and then basically it's going to display to you, and then you will be able to see, for instance, that Venus is in a Mercurian term. Now, the term is basically each of the sign is broken into 5 little segments, which are ruled by the visible planets, apart from the sun and the moon, because they are not ruling any of these little segments. These little segments are actually so the calculation of it is actually extremely difficult, and it comes from some mathematical way when this Pythagoras thesis got discovered, and that's how they calculated that as well. So astrology is a science in a sense because it is based on math quite a lot. And term is, for instance, going to be talking about someone's look, how someone might look like. So, for instance, I look at Tsveti's term. Her rising sign is Scorpio on 12 degree. So we can list it here, the rising sign as well, and then you can see what is the term there. But we can calculate it manually also. So the rising sign is on Scorpio 12 degree. So basically you can go on the essential dignity table, choose the Scorpio, and then you can see here that between 0 to 6, it's Mars, and between 6 to 14, that's going to be a Jupiterian term. So Tsveti has got a combination of Scorpio and Jupiterian traits. Maybe we can say with Jupiter that she might have got the tendency to put on weight. She's got a little bit round face. She can have darker complex, Jupiter. She can be generous, and so forth. It's more about the physical look actually than the actual inner characteristics, if that makes sense, because that's something to do with your moon. Moon is your behavior, and moon is your habitual responses to certain situations. Do you have tendency to put on weight?
Oh, tell me about it. Yes, of course. I have lots of water.
Pardon?
Yeah, I have lots of water in the chart as well. This is the prevailing element, so I also have the tendency to retain water. So I put on weight easily as well. But it's interesting because my daughter has Jupiter conjunct the ascendant, and now that you say the terms, it's something that goes with the generations as well. My mom has Jupiter on the ascendant as well, so it's
wow, it's inherited. Yep. I'm in a Jupiterian term as well, according to my rising sign degree. If you want to get a good picture about the person's look, then you can also have a look at the ruler of the rising sign. So in case of Tsveti's, it's Mars, and Mars on 5 degree of Virgo. So I can go on the Virgo line, and then I can see that, okay, that's going to be between 0 to 7. It's a Mercurian territory there. So she can have quite Mercurian traits as well, which could indicate that she's going to be she's youthful, she's looking younger than her age. She can actually be slim. So we're going to have to put these together. Jupiter is obviously having the tendency to put on weight. Mercury is actually good at keeping their shape. So that is kind of pulling her back, and she's not going to be way too round, if that makes sense. Both of mine are Jupiterian segments, so no wonder I'm a little bit roundish. By the way, triplicity in traditional astrology is pretty much has got something to do with your health conditions. I'm not going to go into that because that's also a complex topic. So looking at this table again, between 0 to 6, it's a Jupiterian territory on Aries line. Between 6 to 14, that's Venus. 14 to 21, that's going to be Mercury, and so forth. What you can also see here is, and this is the reason why they called the 29 degree, for instance, an anerotic degree, a crisis degree. Because if you look at it, it is always, the last few degrees, always ruled by Saturn or Mars. So on the Aries line between 26 to 30, it is Saturn. So that could be a little bit more challenging there. By the way, Termis said that you still have got a little bit of an honor in the kingdom of in the kingdom, but imagine that you go in for a party because you got invited because let's say your boyfriend is going there and he's an important person. No one is gonna care about you that much, but you still gaining some type of respect, and that's what term means. This is a minor dignity. Basically, there are every single 10 degrees ruled by a different planet, which is also having to do with some mathematical calculations. And it gives just a 20% strength to the planet. Now, detriment and fall, those are negative ones. The detriment is always opposite from what the planet rules. So let's say Aries is ruled by Mars. So Mars is never going to feel too well in the opposite sign from Aries, which is Libra, and so on. And the fall position is actually the opposite from the exalted position. So in the sign of Aries, Sun is exalted. And in the opposite sign, Sun will not feel too well, which is going to be Libra. So that's one of the reasons why Sun, for instance, in Libra and Aquarius tend to be a little bit frustrated. Now, I've got an Aquarius Sun, so I know how long it took me to figure myself out, my core essentials. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful. And this is what you need to remember. So here I would like to show you a very, very important rule. Let's say we're going to be working with Mercury here. So Mercury in Pisces, what you're going to read about Mercury in Pisces? Oh, you know, you're going to be doomed. Basically because the planet is in fall and detriment and all those type of things. But actually, in order for you to figure out what could be helpful on that line, go on the Mercury line, and you can see Mercury is ruled by Jupiter. Start analyzing your Jupiter if Jupiter has got any strength in the chart. So I'm going to go on that Jupiter line. There is no strength to Jupiter. So Jupiter won't be able to help Mercury much. Then I'm going to be looking at Venus. Okay, Venus is in detriment, so that's not going to be able to help much either. So I'm going to look at Mars then, because that's the next in line. Mars, okay, that's a neutral planet, not necessarily so helpful. Okay, we've got a little bit of a Mercury and trade there, so actually we shouldn't even, you know, that gives us a 20% strength. And then we've got Mars here also, which we already covered. So let's have a look at another example. So for instance, we look at her Venus. So if I go on the Venus line, Mars could be helpful if Mars was strong. Mars is not strong. Sun could be helping. Sun is not too strong either. Yeah, that's right. Jupiter could be helping, which we already covered. It's not that helpful. And Venus is, Mercury could be helping if Mercury had a little bit of a strength. It doesn't. And then again, we've got a Sun there and Venus. So overall, her Venus is a little bit hurt. Now, if there was a planet which is helpful, let's say, because let's suppose that that Sun is actually strong in the chart, then it means that you need to rely on Sun to bring your Venusian territories aligned. And this is what we call as remedies. I hope that makes sense. So let me bring up my chart, and then maybe I can demonstrate how to work with that. So for instance, let's have a look at my Sun. So you can see that the Sun is actually in detriment. So that's a weak Sun. On the line, we can see Saturn. So I'm going to look at Saturn if it's helpful, and I can see that Saturn is not helpful. Then we've got one more Saturn, not helpful. Then we've got Venus. Now, if I go on the Venus line, can you see that Venus is strong by exaltation? So in order for me to bring out the best of that sun in the 12th house in Aquarius, I need to use Venus, because Venus can help bringing out the best of that sun. Do you think, Tsveti, everyone understands that? Because it's a little bit technical.
Yeah, I think that it's easy to understand because it will take some time to grasp the idea, and I would recommend to watch the video a few times and to play out a bit with their own chart. And if they don't have an astrological program, maybe you can show them where they can pull up the essential dignities from AstroFox 0.8.
Yeah, absolutely good idea.
Yeah. So everybody can actually check on.
If you type in AstroFox 0.8, then basically you just have to fill out the data here. You're gonna have to put down the longitude and the latitude manually. I recommend choose whatever house system you choose. And then basically you're gonna get the essential dignity table when you scroll down here. The green means that it's in ruler, so you can see it has got dignity. The red means it's detriment or fall. And the yellow means peregrine. Now, peregrine means that the planet has no dignity whatsoever in the chart. And we call those planets as wanderers. We call them a little bit aimless in the chart. But exactly the same principle comes here as well. You're gonna have to look at that peregrine planet. Like you can see my moon is peregrine. But my moon can be well helped by Jupiter, because look at my Jupiter, it's in rulership. So moon is helped by Jupiter a lot to be bringing out the best of the moon energies. You just have to rely, I just have to rely on that Jupiter a lot. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Yeah, so that's the essential dignity table, which is going to give us how reliable your planet is and what can be helpful. This is the way how I set up remedies for others, by looking at what could be helpful and then working on that planet. This, I will explain it a lot more in detail in the Planets in Fall and Detriment webinar on the 29th of this month. Okay, so another thing which we wanted to show you is basically what planet to work on. What you can do is go on your detriment line. Let's suppose we want to see what is holding back Tsveti in relationship topics. Her relationship house is ruled by Venus. So basically you can go on the Venus line and then you can look at what planet is in detriment. It's Venus. So this time around, Venus puts down Venus, which means that it could be her own stubbornness. That basically we just need to describe Tsveti, her Taurian qualities. And also it could be the actual partner who might be dragging her down sometimes. Let's have a look at another planet. For instance, children. So her child is ruled by Jupiter. If I go on the Jupiter line, it gets put down by Jupiter also. So that's, and basically what you do is, you looked at what puts down that 7th house, it's Venus. You go and look at where Venus is. Venus is in Aries in the 6th house. That's gonna be the topic which holds her back in relationships. So we're just gonna have to analyze what Venus in Aries in the 6th house means. Right? Looking at another example. So for instance, my relationship energy is ruled by Mercury. Mercury gets put down by, Mercury puts down Moon. So I'm gonna start reading where Moon is. Moon is in the 10th house in Sagittarius. So maybe in my case, it's gonna be something to do with career. I'm way too focused on career, how other people see me. Maybe it's something to do with I'm scared that other people are going to judge me because how I look like. 10th house is so much to do how you portray yourself on a professional level. And that could be holding me back. Obviously, these planets kind of need to be read in a negative way because that is kind of holding you back. Mercury, the relationship planet, is telling Moon, don't come close to me. But hold on a minute, Moon represents the emotions. So how can Mercury tell Moon, don't come close to me? Right? So it could indicate that someone is emotionally distant from the partner as well. And there is a compensation level going on with the 10th house matter where the Moon is placed. So this is pretty much the detriment line is a compensation level. Because you want to be sweeping things under the carpets. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes lots of sense.
So let's just have a look at that fake trine and opposition type of, or fake square type of energy. So for instance, we can see that Tsveti has got a Mercury. Oh, we looked at that. Sorry, she's got a
Venus Moon.
Moon and Venus square going on in her chart. I can see that Moon is the faster moving planet, lower degree than Venus, so it's a applying aspect. So applying aspect usually means that it's going to be following us through in the entire life, and separating aspect means that it is something which is in the past, usually in the first 25 years of our life. So there, Moon is applying to Venus. So what I do is, I'm going to go on the Moon line, and I'm going to see if Moon is interested in Venus. Not so much. I'm going to look at if Venus is interested in Moon. Not so much. So that's not a real square. That's like just an aspect between the two planets. They don't necessarily care about each other. So it doesn't mean it's not going to bring you slight challenges, but nothing major. So it doesn't mean that she's, for instance, dooming at work, or she's never going to be successful with esoteric things. Or it doesn't mean that, for instance, Venus rules her relationship, then who she is going to be very badly positioned in relationships. Actually, Tsveti has been together with her partner since the age of 15. So they have been together for 25 years. And you know, this square, if I automatically look at it, who you're going to have a second marriage, you know, because that's square and, you know, that's very tough. And Tsveti is in a happy relationship, right?
Right.
So that's not a real square. I can look at, for instance, Sun and Jupiter opposition here. Is that really an opposition? So there is a separating actually. So it might have brought her some energies at the beginning of her life in the first 25 years, maybe struggle to get pregnant, 5th and 11th house, maybe it's something to do with her professional choices, because we've got Jupiter in the 11th house, which is gains, and 5th house is pretty much about expressing your true talent. So Sun and Jupiter. So let's have a look at what if Sun is interested in Jupiter. Sun is not interested in Jupiter. And oh, Jupiter is interested in Sun. So this is what I call as a fake opposition, because Jupiter wants Sun to do something good. It
This is your
depends
chart.
on, oh, sorry, that's my chart, sorry. So let's revive then. Okay, so the Sun actually adores Jupiter. And Jupiter actually likes the Sun as well, 20%. Now, this is what I call as fake opposition. Actually, this is more like a trine. It's acting like half opposition and a big amount of trine. So how do you feel about your Jupiter-Sun opposition?
I feel it's like a trine, and I always, before I know you, I mean, I always wondered why is this an opposition, and every time I read the meaning of an opposition, Sun Jupiter, it doesn't somehow resonate with me, and I was always supported by teachers, because Jupiter represents bosses, teachers, and so on, I have always been supported to somehow develop my true self. Somehow, those figures in my life, they could see through me, and they supported my development, my growth all the time. And I was wondering, okay, this is an opposition, it involves a third party, but still it should be a hard aspect. They should be like not helping me, but somehow harming me and making it hard for me. So they
So
give me
this,
challenges, but usually they are very kind.
yeah, these challenges are kind of, because it's a challenging aspect. So I'm not going to say that, oh, this is acting like a trine fully, but those challenges come, which you can actually deal with, and then you can get better at it.
Yes,
Now,
very
it could
important.
also bring that because Jupiter rules the second house, Sun rules the 10th house, we could say, oh, financially your life is very challenged. Do you feel that your life is challenged financially?
Never ever.
Yeah, so this is what we call as fake opposition. I recommend guys looking through your charts, give a little bit of a new approach how you read your aspects, because there is this saying, which I can't remember, but something like what is shining, not all glitter, or something like that. So,
Not all that is shining is gold.
yeah, here you go. So, not everything is what it looks like, basically.
Yeah.
And that is not a real opposition.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. And then if you want to learn more about this, detriment and four positions, then let us know and then sign up for the upcoming webinar. Tsveti, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Victor. As usual, you are like, I don't know, you always have something hidden in the sleeve and you show, wonders in astrology. It's
Try to
so
do
great.
plenty of
Thank you.
research.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everyone, and have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.